ביאור משנה ג', an explanation for משנה ג'. כפי שכבר הזכרנו, באה המשנה זו, like we mentioned, this משנה came, ללמד בדברים שאסור לעשותם בערב שבת סמוך לחשיכה, to teach us things that you're not to do before Shabbat, before it becomes dark. Why are you not allowed to do it? For the same reason as mincha. What was the reason for mincha? Shema yishkach v'yasem b'Shabbat. You might forget. But these ones, you're afraid you're going to do them on Shabbat. So let's see what they are. לא יצא החייט במחתו סמוך לחשיכה. It says the tailor should not go out with his needle close to dark.
This למדנו.
בערב Shabbat. This is Friday night. Why he shouldn't go out with the needle? שמא ישכח ויצא בה משתחשך. Maybe he's going to forget and he's going to go out with this needle once it becomes dark. Okay, we're going to learn it two ways because that's the only way to learn this Mishnah properly. There's two ways to understand what does it mean a tailor should not go out with his needle. One way it says he should not go out with his needle in his hand, he should not walk around with his needle. Another way it says he should not put it in his, you know how the tailors, they put it over there. Now, everybody says going out with a needle in your hand, carrying, this is a carrying from the Torah. If you carry a needle, no, but if it's going to be on Shabbat, if it's going to be on Shabbat, you're carrying from the Torah. Everybody admits. Not everybody admits that if you carry a needle in your jacket, this is carrying from the Torah. And we're going to see. They're going to say for a tailor, only for a tailor it is. We're going to understand. We'll have to understand why. But the idea behind it is we already learned to rule. We do not make a decree on a decree. You remember that?
Yeah.
Maybe, we do not say maybe twice. Maybe twice. In other words, the rabbis don't have the power to do a gader for rabbis, to do a fence for the rabbis. They have a power to do a fence for the Torah, not for the rabbis. The rabbis don't do fences for if you break a rabbinic law. The only way the rabbis are going to make a fence is for Torah law. Now, there are some people who learn that the tailor should not go out close to dark. Maybe he's going to forget. That means he's holding it in his hand. Yeah? So if he holds it in his hand and then he walks with it also on Shabbat with his hand, he's going to forget it in his hand, he's walking Shabbat, he transgressed a Torah law. And if he transgressed a Torah law, the rabbis have the right to tell him, don't go out from Friday. The question is going to be, a person who has a machat, a needle in his jacket, and he walks with it in the public domain on Shabbat, this is not considered to be a Torah law, because it's beshinui. That's not the usual way to carry things. Nobody carries things this way. So it's only rabbinic. He's like, we're not going to let you but only the rabbi says you're not allowed to do it. So if the rabbis said you're not allowed to do it, the rabbis cannot tell him you may not walk out on Friday evening without it because it's a gzera on a gzera. It's two gzeras. So the question is, how are the rabbis over here telling him not to put it in his jacket? He's allowed to put it in his jacket. So that's what we're going to be discussed, and that's what you need to understand over here. Okay? So יש מפרשים משנתנו לדעת רבי יהודה בברייתא. So there are those who explain this Mishnah according to Rabbi Yehuda in the Braita. שלא יצא החייט, that the tailor is not allowed to go, אפילו במחתו התכובה לו בבגדו בערב שבת סמוך לחשיכה. He's not allowed to go out even if it's in his jacket, close to darkness. שמא ישכח ויצא בשבת. Maybe he's going to go out and he's going to come to transgress Shabbat. Yeah? But the question is, he's not transgressing Shabbat. He's only transgressing the rabbis. This is not transgressing Shabbat. So what are you worried about? So they have to explain. Because they saying if that's your job to work that way, if you're a tailor, for you, the needle is considered to be carrying. Why? Because that's the way
You do it.
you carry.
Yeah.
That's the way you carry every day. I don't carry this way every day, but you always carry that way every day. So for you, it's what? Prohibited. Only for the tailor. That's the way they learn this Mishnah. Ve'uman. This is, it says, because you're an artisan, this is your job. Hamotzi kelav derech umanuto. And you take out your vessels the way of you taking out the vessel. כפי שהוא רגיל לצאת לפרקים כן בכל. This is the way you carry every day. For you, this is carrying. Maybe for me it's not called carrying, but for you it's carrying. הרי הוא חייב. You are obligated. So therefore it's not a decree on a decree. For him, it's a decree on Shabbos.
Because of his job.
Because of the job. ויש מפרשים, and there are those who says, שכוונת המשנה היא במחתו שבידו. But there are those who says, no. The Mishnah is not talking about a machat that's in your clothing. It's talking about the machat that is in your hand. And then obviously, he's transgressing Shabbat. אבל על מחתו התחובה לו בגדו לא גזרו חכמים. But on a machat that is a needle that is in his clothing, there is no decree of Chachamim, even for a tailor, some say. And the Mishnah is talking about if the tailor is walking it within his hand. שכן משנתנו רבי מאיר, our Mishnah is going to go according to Rabbi Meir, שאומן המוציא בשבת דרך אומנתו, פטור אבל אסור. He's patur but prohibited. But you cannot make a decree on a decree. We already said that. כלומר, שאף בשבת אין זה אלא איסור מדברי סופרים, ואין גזורים גזרה לגזרה. And you don't make a decree on a decree. So according to Rabbi Meir, the Mishnah is talking about the guy is holding it in his hand, not in his pocket, not in his shirt. But we can learn it both ways, if not according to Meir. Okay. Again, שמא ישכח ויצא. This is Yen Tosfos בשבת, דיבור מתחיל, he might forget and he's going to go out with this on Shabbat, it says. ולא הלבלר בקולמוסו, the same, exactly the same ruling, talking about a guy who writes Sefer Torahs, who writes mezuzos, is not allowed to write with his pen. You know, they put their pen behind their ear over there. ולא הלבלר בקולמוסו, ולא יוצא הסופר בעיתו ערב שבת סמול חשיכה. He's not allowed to go with his pen just before darkness on Erev Shabbat. Again, the two ways, either he's holding it in his hand or he's putting it behind his ear. מהטעם האמור לעיל, from the reason that we explained above, שמא ישכח ויצא משתחשך. Maybe he's going to forget, and he's going to forget and he's going to go out this way on Shabbat itself.
אבל אין לזה עונש.
That's right. And the rabbis can give you whatever punishment they want. Not from the Torah. There's no punishment from the Torah, but there is a punishment from the rabbis, whichever one they want.
אתה עובר על דברי חכמים.
Yeah.
עונש, לא?
Yeah, whatever
דברי
they,
חכמים יש להם עונש, או אין להם.
yeah, whatever they decide. They can decide to give you lashes, they can decide to put you in jail, they can do whatever they want with you. Whatever the rabbis decide. Today the rabbis don't have power, but in the old time they had power. Yeah. ולא יפלה את כליו, and the person should not take lice out of his garments, ולא יקרא לאור הנר, and he should not read by the light of the candle. This people used to have lice and kinim.
Oh, no.
And used to take the kinim, the lice, out of the garments. They used to take them out. The nakot. They used to, but the lice are very small, so you need to look. So on Shabbat, you're not allowed to do it by the light of the candle.
Oh.
Yeah. ולא יפלה את כליו. This is already in Shabbat. This is not before Shabbat. ולא יפלה את כליו, ולא יקרא לאור הנר. And one is also not allowed to read by the light of the candle on Shabbat.
באמת למה?
Oh, we're going to see. הנר שבימיהם היה כלי, in their time, their candles weren't like our candles. How did their candles was? It was like a jug like this. There used to be oil inside, and you put the wick over here. And whenever you needed more oil in the wick, you need larger flame, you will tilt it. It will be round in the bottom. Have you ever seen those lamps? You will tilt it, more oil will go into the wick, and you will have a larger flame. הנר ביהם היה כלי שנתנו לתוכו שמן. It was a vessel that you put inside oil, והפתילה and the wick. ובא משנתנו ללמד שלא יפלה את כליו. המשנה comes to teach you that you should not look for lice in your vessels by the light of a candle. כלומר שלא יבאר כנים מבגניו לאור הנר בליל שבת, on Shabbat. And the same thing, וכן לא יקרא בספר לאור הנר. And also you should not read in a book by the light of the candle. What's the problem? שחוששים, because you're worried, you don't have enough light, and automatically you're going to come and tilt it. Yeah? שחוששים שמא יהא האור כהד, there's not going to be enough, ויטה את הנר להביא את השמן אל הפתילה, and you're going to tilt it, so that it's going to be more oil by the wick. כדי שתדלק יפה, so that you're going to have nice light. ונפצע מהיר בשבת, and then you're going to come to be lighting on Shabbat.
So you can see, not you have light.
Yeah. You have light, but not enough.
Yeah.
I'll discuss this later.
אבל בכלל מותר להוציא דברים בשבת ככה, לברר כאילו?
כפי הנראה, כתוב שמותר, אז מותר.
זה על הנר, לא על הדברים.
Good question. Why is it מותר? You know,
מה
זה לא צד.
מותר if they bring the example, לא?
Yeah, I'm thinking, למה זה לא צידה? I don't know.
בירור, אתה מברר שם.
בירור, I don't think it's a ברור, כי זה כמו שיש לך זבוב, אתה עושה לו ככה, זה לא נקרא לברר.
אותם דברים. לא, אבל מכל הזה אתה מוציא אחד.
Yeah, good question. It's a good question. I'm not quite sure why they're allowed. באמת אמרו, it says in truth they says, כלומר ההלכה מקובלת היא, this is the ההלכה, וכן פירשו בגמרא, כל באמת אמרו, we're going to learn another rule, every time it says in the Torah, in the Mishnah, באמת אמרו, in truth they said, you see this expression in the Mishnah, you know that this is the ההלכה. הלכה היא. ואין להסס ולגמגם בדבר. In other words, you should know that this is there's no other opinions. This is the only opinion. You can rely on it. אבל בירושלמי אמרו, but in ירושלמי says, כל מקום ששנו חכמים באמת, ירושלמי says, every time they said באמת, is הלכה למשה מסיני. It says, you can't even talk about it. It says, this is Moshe got it from Sinai, which means even if you're going to see things in the Torah that tells you opposite, it says, I don't care, this is what Moshe said. Yeah. ויש מפרשים שלאו דווקא הלכה למשה מסיני. זה argument, if it's הלכה למשה מסיני, or not הלכה למשה מסיני, if this is what Moshe told us from Mount Sinai or not. אלא כאילו היא הלכה למשה מסיני. It doesn't matter. But they said, this is, you should know. In other words, you shouldn't be worried about it. In other words, don't be strict over here. If you see somebody does it, and he tells you, Moshe Rabbeinu told me that I'm allowed to do it, don't tell me, but maybe you shouldn't. What? That's Halacha Misinas. So don't worry about it. If Moshe tells you can do it, you can do it. And what can you do? HaChazan, the Chazan. What's the Chazan? Hainu melamed tinokot. A teacher of children. Ro'eh le'or haner beleil Shabbat. He's allowed to look at the Gemara or at the Mishnah by the light of the candle on Shabbat. Heichan hatinokot korim. Not what he's reading. He's allowed to see where the kids are reading. What the kids are reading. That's right. The ner is on the table. There's five children over there reading. So you would think, and there's a teacher over there. So you would say, according to what we learned, they're not allowed to learn, right? But he says, don't worry about it. If the teacher is next to them, they're allowed to learn. So then you don't even have to worry about it. Don't say maybe they shouldn't. They should. Let's see. היכן התינוקות קוראים? מאיזה מקום שיתחילו לקרוא והיכן יסיימו קריאתם? He's allowed to look and he is allowed to think שבעיון מועט כזה אין גוזרים שם היתה. It says, they're not worried that he knows the Gemara, he knows the Mishnah. He just needs to know where the kids are.
Because
he doesn't need it.
Need the light at all.
Exactly. He knows it by heart. Exactly. Beram, it says, but you still have a problem that the kid might do it. Yeah. Why aren't you worried that the kid should do it?
But
the
he
kid.
is there, the teacher.
ברם, התינוקות קוראים לפני רבם לאור הנר. The children are allowed to read in front of their master to the light of the candle. Why? מפני שאימת רבם עליהם, because he's looking. In other words, they have a guard. If somebody is going to come and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's going to tell you like this. In other words, they put a shomer, they have a guard. ולא יטו את הנר, and they're not going to come to tilt the candle. And don't come and say, but maybe they shouldn't. This is what it says. If it says you're allowed to, you're allowed to do it. No, don't come and give me other things. Maybe they shouldn't. ובירושלמי מבואר הטעם, Yerushalmi explains the reason. שהתינוקות, it says, also in the Yerushalmi it says, for sure the kid is not going to bring the more light. Why?
They want it to turn off, they want to finish.
Exactly, because they don't want to learn. It's the opposite. It says, the less light there is, the better for them.
That's what I like. When I can't get the, you know.
ובירושלמי מבואר הטעם, ירושלמי explains the reason, שהתינוקות רוצים שיכבה הנר. It said the kids want the class to be over already. They want the candle to go out, כדי שלא יצטרכו לקרוא, that they don't need to read. ולפיכך לא יטו אותו, and therefore they're not going to tilt it. אבל הוא לא יקרא, but he by himself, he's not allowed to read. אסור למלמד לקרוא בפני התינוקות. It is forbidden for the melamed to read in front of the kids את הפרשה כולה, the entire parasha. Why? שאין אימת התינוקות עליו. Because if the rabbi is going to come to tilt, no kid is going to say, move his hand away. He's going to say, Rabbi, move your hand. Because kids don't act this way towards the rabbi. ויש חשש שמא יתם. We are worried he's going to move the candle. כיוצא בו, similar to this rule, לא יאכל הזב עם הזבה. The zavd, somebody who had an emanation, white coloring coming out of it, should not eat with a woman that had red coloring coming out of her. כלומר, כשם שגזרו לעניין שבת, just like there's a decree from the rabbis for Shabbat about reading to the light of the candle and all these other things, על הדברים האמורים לעיל and all those other things, כדי להרחיק אדם מן העבירה, in order to make sure that the person is not going to transgress. כך גזרו מטעם זה שלא יאכל הזב עם הזבה. It says that the zav should not eat with the zava, because you don't know, you know, a meal comes together, you drink a little bit of wine, and you're going to have relationship soon, and when you're not allowed to. Same thing with a husband and a wife. When the wife is a nida, one is not allowed to eat on the same table with the wife. That's why we have all kinds of harchakot. Either we have a placemat, some people put a placemat, some people put something in between the husband and the wife. Yeah? אף על פי ששניהם טמאים וגם חולים. Over here it gives the reason not a husband and a wife, because a husband and a wife, you said you're worried that they might do something together. Yeah? But a zav and zava, you're not even worried. Why are you not worried? Because obviously he's sick and she's sick, because they have all this thing coming out of them constantly. And even then you're worried.
Because they are sick both.
Yeah.
If one was sick...
No,
but let's say that one is sick, your chances that Avera is less than both are sick. Because one guy would say, no, I'm good, she's sick.
Good question.
No, you know what I'm saying?
Can you see the other way around?
Both sick and they are both the same boat.
Yeah,
so
but
make them easy to make that.
When they're both sick, they both don't want to do it. When there's one sick, there's only one person who doesn't want to do it. And when they're both sick, both of them
wants to do it because they're both sick.
No, this type of sickness is that you don't want to do it. What's the type? She has pain over there. He has pain over there. So it's more likely that they both don't want to do it. If it's only
why you put siyag here?
What?
So why you put siyag?
That's what it says. Even in a case that they're both sick, it's still going to
show you
that. Yeah.
Don't eat together.
That's it's much worse than just a male and a female. So how much more so? How much more so with them?
With one sick.
With the wife and the husband, for example. Yeah.
So if one sick is even more.
That's right.
Severe, not less. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
מפני הרגל עבירה, שבכל מקום חוששים שמא יבוא לידי עבירה, because nevertheless, they are worried maybe they're going to come to the hands of Avera. Just